Hello and welcome to my unboxing of the Christopher Ward C65 Sandhurst Series 2 watch. I've been looking for a field watch for a little while, looking at things like Hamilton, a few different kind of homages and IWCs, that type of thing. IWC probably wouldn't work for me because I'm looking to use this watch as a bit of a beta watch, and they get pretty expensive, and to be honest, calling a £950 watch like this a beta 2 seems a little bit strange, but if I get my use out of it and keep it for a number of years, then I'm sure I'll get the value out of it. Doing this video because when I was looking for unboxings and reviews, I was struggling to find much on the steel version on a Bracelet. There's a fair amount out there about the bronze version on a NATO and the previous series of this watch, but not this one in particular. I had a few reservations about this watch. Haven't actually opened the box yet, so I'm doing it a little bit off the cuff. My initial concern was the light catcher case. Although it looks great in press shots, I didn't really feel, or I don't know if it's going to be what I'm looking for in terms of field watch. All brushed would probably be more my preference. Also, the press shots, the clasp, it looks absolutely massive. Considering I'm used to something a little bit smaller, like on my Grand Seiko watch. I know Grand Seiko get a lot of heat about their small clasps and micro adjustment. This does fit me really well, and I do quite like the small clasp, so we'll see what I think about that. And also the logo. On the previous version where it said Christopher Ward, really was not a fan of that. Probably wouldn't have bought this watch if it had that logo on it. Still, the verdict is out a little bit on the twin flags, which is basically a English flag and a Swiss flag combined together. Wouldn't actually have realised that if I hadn't read that somewhere else, but apparently that's what it is. So getting on to the watch and opening the box. Initial impressions, the box is actually a lot more premium than I expected. This part of the box kind of reminds me of Hamilton and what they do with their boxes. Also a little bit unusual to have an oblong box like this rather than something a bit more square. But yeah, very, very premium feeling. So inside we have, it looks like a warranty card here. It's a 60/60 guarantee that Christopher Ward offers. I think it is that if you are unhappy with your purchase, you can return it after 60 days, which is pretty damn good, to be fair. We also have the owner's manual. I guess this is how to adjust the clasp, how to remove the bracelet, all that type of information. And then in here, I do not know. So let's try and open it up without ripping it. Might have to come back to this. Yeah, moving on. We'll come back to that. Okay, so here it is. This is actually the first time I have seen this watch in the flesh. Very small. 38mm is the actual the dial size. Dial tends to not matter too much, in my opinion. It's more the lug to lug that really does matter. Good example of that is the watch that I'm wearing today, which is the Oris Pro Pilot, the Renault 57th edition version. This is actually 41mm. However, the lug to lug is only roughly about 48, so it does actually fit my close to 7-inch wrist really well. Love this watch. Wear it most days along with my Grand Seiko, because they're both GMT watches and they're useful for me at work. So this watch, going back to the Christopher Ward Sandhurst, apparently this is actually a homage of a Smiths military watch. It's a 1969 W10. One of the things I really liked about it was that's a British watch, and essentially so is this. So I'll just go ahead and take off some of the packaging here. Okay. So the light catcher case is actually very nice. It's a mixture of polishing, as you can probably see, and brushing. It's kind of polished on the sides here a little bit, and then brushing elsewhere. On the back we have If you can see that, it is the MOD approved kind of engraving on the back. Apparently only a certain number of watches are approved by the MOD. Whether that means that these watches are actually issued to people in the military, I do not know. Kind of just sounds like a little bit of marketing guff, to be totally honest. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It might be that these are actually issued out to military. If it is, that is pretty damn cool. I assume they have to go through some kind of accreditation process with the MOD in order to achieve that. So yeah, pretty impressed. The crown is a decent size. It's actually larger than I was initially expecting. The dial is actually really kind of is it a textured black? I'd say it's probably a kind of a textured black. The hands, they get a little bit of stick. I actually quite like them. I guess I do get people's opinions where they're saying that the kind of sharpness of the hour hand doesn't necessarily match the button of the minutes hand, but I actually quite like it. It's a little bit different. The seconds hand has a nice red tip. I'm quite a fan of kind of faux patina, so this really does work for me. Got a matching red circle around the crown there, along with the Christopher Ward twin flags as well. Overall, really quite impressed with the case finishing and the brushing. The bracelet looks super nice too. Like I said, one of the things that I was really concerned about is the size of the clasp. Now, having seen it in person, it's a lot thinner than I was expecting, which is a good thing. However, it is actually quite long. If I just pop that down for a second and take off my Oris, then I'll pop it on the wrist. But I'll probably come back, end the video somewhere and kind of shrink the bracelet down and then pop it on again so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so that is the 38mm on my close to 7-inch wrist. It does have quite a nice profile to the crystal, sapphire crystal. I do like a dome crystal on my Oris Diver, I think it's Diver 65, has quite a nice double dome to it, and this is equally as nice. So looking back at the bracelet, one of the main things that I liked about this watch when looking at it is the quick release. I won't take that off now, but as you can see here, there's two kind of pins to quickly remove that. I'm not the best when it comes to removing bracelets from watches. I do have a tendency to scratch the back of the lugs, so having that quick release is really good. I have no idea why that isn't the standard across most watches, because I think that is a great thing. What else? So specs on this watch. It is the Sellita SW200 COSC certified. As you can see, it says automatic chronometer on there. I don't have any watches that are actually marked as chronometers, so that's a new thing for me. 26 joule self-winding mechanical, 38 hour power reserve, which is more than adequate. Comparing to some of my other watches, that seems a little bit low now. However, I still think that is more than enough. Screw down crown and a screw down case back, which gives it up to 150 meters of water resistance, which frankly is plenty. And again, it's one of the things that draw me to this watch, treating it maybe a little bit like a beta, although I'll keep it as nice as possible for as long as I can. But it really is like an outdoors go everywhere do anything watch. Nice winding, it feels good, solid. Yeah, really quite impressed with this. Let me just screw back the crown. Do have some digital calipers here, so I'll give you some kind of specs and measurements of this. I'm sure you can get these online, but it's good to see it from someone else's perspective too, because they're not always accurate. So width of the watch got about 11.8. If we go from lug to lug, which like I said earlier is really the bigger one for me. Case size doesn't usually, dial doesn't usually matter as too much. So if I go there, I've got about 41 which really is quite small considering the other watches that I own, but more than happy with that. Size of the crown is 7.4, very decent size. And then obviously you've got the lug to lug, the bracelet size, which I think is about 20, although I've got that upside down, classic. Yeah, it was around 19.4, so this is 20 mil. I'll show you the Lume quickly, give it a quick blast. Obviously it's going to be too great in here because of the lighting. I'll quickly kill the lights and see how it looks. Not much darker because we're in the middle of the day and I don't have a studio or anything as nice as that. So, quick blast with the light. Very nice. Lights up very well. I think this version over the previous one, they did improve the Lume and made a number of improvements to this watch. Really am impressed. Like I said, I imagine I will be keeping this. My opinions may change on the size of the clasp as I wear it. It's difficult to say what I think about that at the present time. Cost, okay, so I paid £950 for this. Christopher Ward usually do offer £100 off. I'll leave in the description what it is at the moment, although they change it fairly frequently, but it's just the same discount code with maybe some different numbers at the end. So make sure that you search for that if you're interested in a Christopher Ward watch, because you will get £100 off and free delivery. What I'll do now is I'll stop the video. I'm going to resize the bracelet and then I'll show you some more wrist shot action. Right, so I'm back and I've resized the bracelet and a few more angles of it on the wrist. It sits really well. As nice as my Grand Seiko, does actually hug the wrist and sits really kind of subtly. The case, you can see there's actually some polishing here that I didn't realise, a round ring of polishing and then some lines running down the sides. I think the case looks really nice, but I'm still not sure if I think it suits a military watch. May change my mind once I've been wearing it for a little while, but super high quality. The bracelet is really well made. Super easy to change, so I actually took the bracelet off with the quick release and popped it on with no issues at all, no scratching of lugs. Please can all watch companies do that. Changing the links was incredibly easy. Unlike my Grand Seiko, which has small little screws to keep the links together, this actually has kind of the screw end on the pins, so they screw directly in, and you don't end up losing the tiny little screws like on Grand Seikos. The clasp, it is too big in my honest opinion. It could be doing with like a centimetre shorter. However, I have got a really comfortable fit with the ratcheting extension, so it is really nice, hugs the wrist well, and then if my wrists swell up at any point due to the weather conditions, then it can be adjusted really easily. But man, that clasp, why is that so big? Let me just take it off for a moment and I'll show you the ratcheting if I can. It's kind of difficult to see, but as you can see, just in here, you actually pull that back and then you can extend it out, as you can see. Tons of adjustment there, so you'll always get a really nice fit. Plenty of links that you can remove again, so that'll sit really nicely. Overall, as I've been saying throughout the video, really impressed with the quality of this watch. The bracelet is significantly better than Grand Seiko's, although I like the way that the Grand Seiko sits and fits on my wrist and has a much nicer clasp in terms of the proportions and the size. However, the quality here is brilliant. I would absolutely recommend this watch for someone who's looking for a field-inspired watch. Like I said, make sure you use the discount code if you're looking to actually purchase one. I hope you found this video informative and helpful and helped you on your purchasing decision. Thanks very much.